Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America Trading, and you are tuned into our podcast, The Secret War on Cash. And we have had a war, a real battle actually, all year since even before President Trump took office. There's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of talks with the tariffs, talks about what's going on with debts and deficits, interest rates and inflation. So to talk about this a little further, let's bring on my co-host here, Chris Agelastos. Good morning, Chris. How are you today?
Hey, Dean. Doing well, thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us. And we're going to talk about our buddy Warren Buffett today. And he seems a little feisty, a little fired up right now. And even I'd go as far as to say maybe even a little preachy. Looking at our first article here, Warren Buffett says the U.S. dollar is going to hell. That's pretty strong language there.
Yeah.
And I think he might actually be right. I mean, he did announce recently that they talk about it here that he announced he's going to be retiring. He's 94 years old. It seems like a pretty full. I guess he's going to remain working. I don't see him retiring. I don't understand that, but who knows? But I think they say he's going to continue on for the rest of the year. And but he's talking about some of the changes that are happening with Berkshire Hathaway. So looking at, the de-dollarization and the dollar going to hell, what's he talking about, Chris? And why, in fact, is the dollar going to hell?
Yeah. So, well, there's a few reasons here. I think part of his fire might just be due to his age. I know a few people in that age range, and they seem to have a little less patience.
You're not talking about
political correctness
right now, are you?
No, definitely not. Especially not if he's watching. But yeah, so at 94, he's going to be retiring, and like you said, I think he is still going to be on the board and offer advice. So Berkshire's investors don't have to, stress too much and run for the hills just yet. But yeah, he just flat out said that the U.S. dollar is going to hell, and he's not really sure that they, being Berkshire Hathaway, would want to continue to invest in a currency, in that state. And that there are a lot of things happening here in the U.S. that make them want to own a lot of other currencies. And they are an international firm, really. I mean, they own conglomerates. Well, they are a conglomerate. And they own a bunch of companies that are global operators. But one of the big things he has been talking about as of late is trade wars, and that's sort of reignited this de-dollarization trend, which we talk about a lot here. And so I would say it never really slowed down, but obviously the tariff talk and the trade wars are causing it to speed up, and it does sort of tarnish the prospects of the dollar being a good investment in the future. It doesn't mean that we can't get through it, of course. I like to err on the side of optimism, but he's really just questioning the dollar's effectiveness at this point. And he flat out said that they're going to be doing a lot more financing in other foreign currencies that they hold through a lot of their companies. So. He didn't mince any words. He's not happy with how things are going, and he's letting the world know. And of course, we've been hearing it from other nations anyhow. But it's sort of different when you have somebody in your own camp going to the microphone and kind of bashing the dollar.
Oh, sure. Well, with the total value of Berkshire Hathaway, I mean, they really have the assets of like a small country. So maybe Berkshire is going to join BRICS. That could be
right
thing on the agenda here.
Yeah, I think I saw that it was in a different article, but I think I saw that they had something like $500 billion in cash sitting on the sidelines. $500 billion just in sort of some spare money. They're enormous.
Well, so let's get into some of the reasons why the dollar is going to hell, as he said. This next article here, Billionaire Warren Buffett says that U.S. government running unsustainable deficits, that's no surprise, amid very substantial inflation. And having deficits and inflation at the same time is nothing short of a recipe for disaster potentially. So as you look at what's going on with the government, and I'll let you talk about this, but I did find it interesting. At the end of the article here, how he talks about, this being a job, meaning handling, the government debt, the economy,
Mm-hmm.
that, he wouldn't want. He's a job that he wants to touch it. So what's he talking about here? And is there, any prospect or hope that there's going to be some kind of reversal, or that maybe the Oracle of Omaha is wrong?
Right. Yeah. Well, he's specifically talking about our spending, our deficit spending, and people hear that word all the time, but it's essentially spending more money than you make. And in this instance, we have approximately a 7% gap. So, if a household here in the United States was bringing in $100,000 approximately a year in income, but they were spending 107, you can see how it wouldn't take too many years before all that credit is maxed out and they're at the point of no return, where they won't be able to pay it back, right? Unless they have some windfall. Well,
Right.
That's what we've been doing here in the US for quite some time, is spending more than we make. And just like a household that can't sustain that, our country can't sustain it forever. Now, we've had certain advantages. We have very good credit, in the world. However, not nearly as good as we used to. So we're going the wrong direction there. And part of that is because we haven't managed our spending and the value of the dollar well. So, he's talking here and essentially saying that the dollar can fall to a certain point until people just completely give up on it and lose all faith. And that can happen pretty quickly. So he flat out said here, this could be a problem that we have to deal with in the next 2 years. Or we may be able to kick the can down the road another 20 years. But again, assuming we make some changes, and he flat out says that, Congress is doing a horrible job. And yes, he doesn't want that job either, but neither does Congress, and somebody's got to do it, and it needs to be done. So it's just, it's something that we have to reckon with. And I do think that President Trump is trying to, start the process of tackling that. And that's why he is, pushing a lot of these tariffs. However, to this point, it hasn't really made the positive effect that we would hope. And it's not necessarily something that can happen overnight. So it may take the rest of his term to even see some positive effects, assuming, he can keep the ship going in the right direction.
Well, you're fighting gravity at this point. Just looking at, look at the number in this article where you have, we've spent $1.3 trillion more than we've collected so far for our fiscal year. It's an insane amount of money. 1.3 trillion more than we've collected. And, it's, you cited that part of the article here where, he says he doesn't know it'll be 2 years or 20 years, because, there's never been a country like ours before. And it's just, I think that kind of, to me, speaks to the enormity of this problem. When you have somebody even like him, where like 2 years or 20 years, that's a pretty broad range there that you're talking about. And just the fact that, it could happen in 2 years just shows the severity of the situation, because 2 years will be here in a blink. And
right.
As he mentioned earlier, like the dollar's going to hell, and I think he's right, and these numbers would support or substantiate that. So again, it's just another example of the secret war on our cash. And for those of you tuning in, if you haven't received your free copy of our report, The Secret War on Cash, I would encourage you to do so. Just take a look at some of the things that are happening out there as it relates to BRICS, what's going on with the interest rates, inflation, things of that nature. You can get a copy of it by contacting us at 1-800-289-2646, or visit us online at SwissAmerica.com. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're not subscribed to our podcast, please do so, as we'd love to talk to you more in the future. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you real soon.